Hi, Melissa Means Honeybee, and this is Catch the Buzz. I just want to talk today about our house flood that happened in 2011, and a pipe broke under the sink. I 6 weeks before had just had our daughter, our fourth child, by C-section, and I was just starting to feel normal. So this was a little rough. And our son came in and told me that there was water all over the floor, and we found that there a pipe had broken under the kitchen sink. And I'll always remember that sound of water just dumping down the vents in the kitchen. And it was rough. We lived in a hotel for about a week. Then we moved in with my mother and father-in-law with them for about a month, so that we could work on the remodel and restoration of our home. So there was a restoration team that came in, and well, the demolition team, and they came and took out a bunch of drywall, pulled up a bunch of the flooring, and just took things out that were all wet and damaged. We had replaced our carpet with some really thick carpet pad, and so it had dammed it up really well. So there was like 2 inches of water in the kitchen, which is more than there would have normally been with the vents there, that it would have just gone down. But thankfully we had done that, because then also the power strip for our computer was really close by where all the flooding happened. And so when we talked to the insurance, they said, well, what kind of damage do you have? And I said, that would need to be replaced. And I was like, $50 worth of cleaning supplies that were under the sink. And they're like, are you sure there's no TVs or anything like that? And I'm thinking, it's the kitchen floor. Why would there be a TV in there? But anyways, so yeah, we were in the hotel for a week, my in-laws for a couple months. And a lot of people I tell about that, and they say, oh my goodness, that's so hard. That must have been just terrible. Or we had a flood. But thankfully for us, with our family's help, and just for us having a good relationship with God, we could just see blessings and how things could have been worse. And of course it was still hard, but we knew that the Lord was going to bless us if we made good choices about it. So anyways, our home was built in the 80s and needed to have a lot of things done on it, because it was just in bad need of some remodel, freshening things up, because things were just old and very outdated. And so we had thought to ourselves, oh, our family is growing. We have so many things that need to be done on this house. How could we ever be able to afford to be able to do some changes that we need to do? How many years are going to have to stay in this house, because we just can't afford everything that needs to be done. And so that was a huge blessing for us, because we had all the flooring had to be redone in the main living area and laundry room. And so we were able to update and upgrade that by doing a lot of work ourselves, and with family's help as well. And then also, when I found out, always remember, on my birthday, I got the phone call that they had broken a piece of wood of the cabinets in our kitchen, and it being so old, they couldn't match it with anything because it was so old. And so then they were like, told me that I was going to be getting a new kitchen. So I was like, oh my goodness, I couldn't believe it. I was super excited, because I've never even dreamed of being able to have something like doing like a whole new kitchen. I just didn't even know where to start looking. And I always give credit to my husband, because he came up with the plan for the kitchen that would increase our storage by about 30%. So that was awesome, because it was just a small house with a smaller kitchen. And so, more was better, of course. So I always give him and myself some credit for listening to him and letting him be right. Anyways, so that was a huge blessing. And then also with that house, a windstorm had come through, microburst or something, I think they said. And we found out that enough tiles had been come off of our roof that we were going to be able to get basically a free new roof, and we only had to pay like a $500 deductible. But they said, hey, if you could let us put a sign in your front yard advertising, because there's quite a bit of traffic that came through our neighborhood, I guess. So they said, well, we'll waive the deductible. You won't have to pay us, we'll give you like a $500 credit so that we could get the new roof. So between the kitchen and then the roof, I was like, oh my goodness, when it comes time for us to sell this house, we could actually be able to sell it, because now all these different things would be taken care of. So as hard as a flood can be, that was just a blessing to us. We know that it was hard, but it was not that bad. It was not that bad. Anyways, and then we we sold that house and moved to another house, and then not exactly 7 years, but darn close, within the same month, in December, it was 2 days after Christmas, we had a house fire in the house that we had moved into, the new house we'd moved into. And again, it was another older home that had never had things redone on it and needed things redone. And there was a fire that started on our patio from some ashes, and thankfully we had steel siding, not even aluminum siding, which we know just protected our home so it could burn like it did without doing more damage. It was going to take more to do as much damage, a longer time. And so we were able to, with that fire, it really only burned the outside of the patio, some smoke into my husband's wood shop, but it didn't burn like into his shop, which was a huge blessing too, because it was a wood shop. There's lots of wood in there. So, and then the fire was outside of our laundry room, and thankfully we had replaced the door that was there, which was just an interior door, actually, that was being used as an exterior door. And so it was a very thin wood. It wasn't solid wood. It was just like, what would you call it? It was like a veneer to look like it was a solid wood door, but it wasn't. It was hollow core is what they call it. And it would have burned really quick. It would have been in the house. It would have been terrible. And since we'd replaced it with a wood door that I had gotten like at a secondhand, like a restore store, and had a window in it, then thankfully one of our kids was able to see this flickering light, and even though there was curtains there, they could see that something was not right, and saw that there was a fire outside, and they would not have seen the fire either. It would have been too late. And of course, unfortunately, it happened to be a time that my husband and I both happened to be at doctor's appointments, but our kids were teenagers, the oldest 3, and they were home. And so with a couple of younger siblings, and thankfully I feel that I was on my way home from the appointment. I was almost there, and I called the kids to say, hey, did you guys take care of these chores or whatever? And they're like, oh yeah, Mom, let me check on those. And when they were doing that, I feel like because that kind of like woke them up from whatever things that they were busy with, being distracted, then after I got off the phone, a couple minutes later, they were calling me saying, Mom, there's a fire. And I'm like, what? Like, I just talked to you guys. Like, how are you telling me there's a fire right now? And anyways, so I'm grateful that they were able to notice the fire, because since we do fires in our home to help heat, the smell of fire, there's going to be that sometimes. There's going to be some smoke smell sometimes. Anyways, so they were able to get their siblings out. And like I said, it was, it's Idaho, so it's winter time. And of course, it happened to be one of the days when it was cold enough that like the hose outside that my kids tried to use to put the fire out was frozen. But anyways, there's just so many things that the kids did right. They just did so many things right, and I was grateful that they were in tune to and prepare themselves in different ways to listen and know what things to do. We were really grateful for that. We have a good neighbor that my son ran over to see if the siblings could go into their home while they tried to, while the firemen were coming and they were getting things sorted out with the fire. Anyways, and so the fire also, like I said, it was mostly smoke damage. There wasn't fire in the home all that much. But the firemen, when they came, they said it had been like another 5 minutes and they would have had to pretty much just total out the whole home, because once it gets into the attic, it can just spread. There's just all this wood and everything up there, and it just spreads really fast. So another huge blessing. And I'll always remember when after they had gotten the fire out and determined that things were safe, my husband and I coming into the house, which is hard because I'm looking around, it's Christmas time, and here's our Christmas tree sitting there, and Christmas presents that kids had just gotten a couple days before that they were playing with. And here's all this black smoke in our kitchen, and of course the mess that happens from firemen having to hurry to come into the home to take care of that fire. Anyways, but always remember how grateful I was when we were sitting down on the couch with the fire captain talking about the fire, and all we could say is how grateful we were that things weren't worse and that things were okay. And I'm just grateful that we didn't lose anybody. And I was like, it's just stuff, and there's not that much stuff anyways that has been hurt. And we were able to get so much money from different things to be able to replace things and be able to have the walls, of course, need to be painted. There's other things, the popcorn ceiling in our house from like the 70s that was a big project to be scraped off and painted, and because of the fire that had to be done. So that was a blessing to us. And then so that's another time that people would think that was terrible. It was terrible. And it was hard, but we just knew the blessings that we had and that some people don't have. And the other thing that happened from that experience too is that we had people from our kids' school that we didn't even hardly know, and they would hear about the fire from my kids, and they would just say things like, do you guys have somewhere to stay? You can come live with us. If you have food, you have all these things. And it was amazing to see all the people that wanted to do whatever they could and offered things that you would think, oh, should you offer that? That's a lot, inviting somebody to live in your house. But they were willing to do that. I mean, thankfully, we were in a hotel, we were in a rental house, and, those things were hard. But I just think that how often is it that people think that miracles don't happen anymore and they don't see those things? But if we have faith and put ourselves out there, having a good attitude and are positive, that we will get the opportunity to be a part of a miracle and see these angels that are all around us, because we let people help us and we don't hide what has happened. I know far too many people that have something like that happen and they just try and keep it to themselves because they don't want people to worry, but then they don't give people the opportunity to serve and to help them. And I know that I love to serve and help other people, and so I've been grateful for the times that I've had situations that I could not handle on my own. I couldn't do it for myself, and I needed somebody else to be able to step in and help me at a time when I needed it. And so I'm so grateful for those experiences that we've been through that helped us as a family. And my oldest daughter and I, just the night before the fire, were talking about our kitchen, and I said, if I was going to redo the kitchen, these are some things that I would change. And I see that that was what we would say as a tender mercy, a blessing from God, for her to know that when the fire happened the next day, that this was supposed to happen. There's just things in life that are supposed to happen sometimes, and we can't choose all those things that do happen. All we can do is choose what we're going to do after it does. So, anyways, thanks for listening. We've got a lot more different videos that are going to be coming along. We'll see you later. Bye.